different competing things. Oh, yes. Okay. So we are recording. So hi and welcome to all. Thank you for those of you who made it onto the call tonight. I know I messed up the date too, with these guys last week. So thank you for those of you who came last week too. I appreciate you coming to both meetings. And so tonight we have our very special guest, Rebecca from the Rotary Foundation, and members of the foundation, our foundation committee, Eileen and Prasad Mill, who I'm missing, Gary. Um, let's see. Am I missing anyone? Prasad, did I say you? So yeah, so members of our foundation committee are here as well to join us. So I'm going to be quiet, which I know is a relief to everyone, and let them talk to you all about good things Rotary Foundation for a while. So take it away, ladies.
And Prasad.
And Prasad.
Eileen, did you want to get started with a little intro, or do you want me to, how did you want to do that?
Oh, just I hope everybody gets a good look at Rebecca on the screen because we're very privileged and honored. She's going to be at our foundation brunch not next week, but a week from Sunday, November the 2nd.
Yeah.
So if you haven't signed up, this is really a chance for you to have the opportunity to meet her in person. And if you have any questions about the foundation in terms of what you might be doing in your club, this is a great opportunity to get a one-on-one because you'll really have her full attention. So I've worked with Rebecca since she started with our zone, and she's a fabulous person, and she's knows everything about the annual fund and the foundation. So be sure you have any questions, she'll be glad to answer them. So Rebecca, you're on.
Thank you. And so I'm going to start sharing my screen because I do have a presentation this evening. And really, I want to recognize that a lot of you on this call have maybe some dual, what's the word I'm looking for? Dual responsibilities. So this I did gear more towards the club level of leadership. I know many of you have some district leadership permissions and accessibility on my Rotary as well. But today we're mostly focusing on club leaders. So just wanted to start with that. So yes, my name is Rebecca Silber. I am the annual giving officer for Zone 32, which is of course where you all are under the umbrella of. And I have the privilege and honor of honestly just helping you all raise funds for the Rotary Foundation. Yes, I am a fundraiser, but my kind of joy is making sure that you all feel comfortable and empowered to go out and work with your members to raise more money so you can do more work. Really, that's the long and short of it. And so tonight, I just wanted to kind of to sketch out the agenda for you all. I should probably be actually presenting. There we go. Okay. And so really, we're going to start with some nuts and bolts of the Rotary Foundation, the mission and the priorities. We're going to talk about our funds, the grants, the structure, and what you all have kind of accomplished over the last year, and just some tips and tricks and priorities for club leaders, as well as some resources and some just quick talking points if you find yourself just with 5 minutes to hopefully get a little bit of the point across about Rotary Foundation. And of course, I will open up the floor for questions at the end. So for those of you who've seen this before, I'm not going to say I'm sorry. I'm going to say, bear with me as I say it again. I think it's so incredibly important that we keep the mission forefront. And the mission of the Rotary Foundation is to help Rotary members, so each one of you, to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace by improving health, providing quality education, improving the environment, and alleviating poverty. And so, really, the most important thing about the foundation and our mission is that we are just here to help you all. You do fantastic work in your communities, you do fantastic work all over the world. And that is what we're here to do, is to raise funds so you all can do more of those things that make the world a better place. And so how do we do that? We have these 7 areas of focus. And what I think is really cool about this is if you have a passion for any one of these areas of focus, you can really put your passion to work. So all of our grants kind of fall into all of our grant projects fall into these types of areas of focus, and sometimes more than one at a time. And really, these areas of focus make sure that we are, of course, focused and really efficient in putting those grant dollars to work. And of course, I'm going to just start off by saying that the stewardship of the foundation and the transparency of the foundation is really among the top 1% of organizations that are evaluated by Charity Navigator. We might be at 17 consecutive years. I meant to double check this. This might be a year old, this information, but at least 16 consecutive years of a 4-star rating from Charity Navigator. And there is no better rating. So we're really proud of that. We've got 100 points, so out of 100 for our financial health, accountability, and transparency. We always have our financial reports publicly available. You can find those on our website. You can find those on the Charity Navigator website. And we do have a professional investment committee that makes sure that all of our financial oversight is really just kind of the best of the best. And I really like to bring this up because as much as we talk about telling the stories, which is an incredibly important thing to do, I think some people, I know many people really want to know that in addition to the great stories that you're all telling and the great impact you're all having, that the stewardship of the organization is top notch. And we really are. And I'm confident in saying that. So I always like to make sure to mention that. And so let's talk about our funds. So we have kind of three buckets, if you will, our three primary funds that our participants can give to support the foundation. So that they include the annual fund, which is kind of how we talk about supporting short-term projects. And as part of the annual fund, we have our share program, which is where you give, and then 3 years later, your club, your district your district gets access to funds for district designated funds and for global grants. There's the Polio Plus Fund, which of course we'll talk a little bit more about. I don't know if you're aware of this, but your district governor, April, is very passionate about polio eradication, as we all should be. So that's one of it is our number one priority is polio eradication. So we've got our Polio Plus Fund in order to support that. And then we have our endowment fund, which is to support the foundation in perpetuity. So kind of a simple way of thinking about this is annual fund and Polio Plus Fund. Those are more towards spending dollars short term, whereas endowment fund is about spending dollars kind of forever. Actually, definitely forever. And so when people ask when donors are asked why they support the annual fund, many people say it's because they know that they get back what they give. And so the reason they say that is because of this share program, this annual fund share. And so I know many of you are familiar with it, and I'd love to talk more about this when we have questions time. But really what happens is you give to annual fund share, and then that money is invested for 3 years. And those investments that are spun off help to make sure that we can support our operations. And then you get a portion back in 3 years for your district designated funds, which is the DDF is what we call it, that your district spends on district grants and global grants. And the other portion goes back to the World Fund, which is at the discretion of the trustees to spend, but mostly goes to global grant programs and things of that nature. And so I'll make sure that all of this information is available, of course, after this call. But a really important website that I always like to mention is this myrotary.org annual fund, which honestly, it's easier to just Google Rotary Annual Fund and you'll find this. And of course, it has this share graphic there. But what it also has is so many resources. There's just all of these links at the bottom of that website on PowerPoints that you can share with your club, different forms for transferring points, things of that nature. There's just so much information on this annual fund website through Rotary. I'll make sure to have that available to you when I send these slides along. So we talked about annual fund share, which is our main kind of focus when we talk about annual fund. And I definitely need to talk about polio as well. So our progress is actually quite staggering. Since 1988, we have eradicated polio in most of the world, with the exception of two countries where it still is considered endemic. So just to give you an example, there were 350,000 cases of polio in 125 countries in 1988. And when I look at this, I always think to myself, not to maybe date myself a little bit, but my little brother, my baby brother, was born in 1988, and I was just obsessed with him. He was my best friend when I was, when he was born. And so thinking of the fact that when he was born, he was able to, pretty much immediately get that polio vaccine. So we knew that he would not have to ever deal with that. I just think about that and it kind of brings a tear to my eye. He's still my best friend, and I just could not imagine a world where I wouldn't have him. So in 1988, we had those 350,000 cases. And now in 2025, actually, unfortunately, it's now up to 36 cases in two countries. But as you can see, that is an incredible, incredible decline. We do still have some work to do, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But really, I mean, we've certified free 90% of the world from wild polio virus, and we really have just achieved so much. We know that 20 million people are walking who otherwise might be paralyzed from the polio virus, and that's just one of many metrics that we mentioned that we are just so, so proud of. Oh yeah, and then more than 3 billion children have been immunized. So, kids like my baby brother, again, who are here with us because of this great work. And so, what do we still have to do? We still have to immunize those hundreds of millions of children each year. We do talk about how polio is just a plane ride away, and that is absolutely true. We've seen it in our own country within the past few years. We still have to make sure that we're deploying those hundreds of thousands of workers to get those vaccines into the children, and to educate people as to the importance of the polio vaccine. And we have to make sure to continue and to intensify our surveillance activities. So really, in addition to getting those vaccines into the children, we need to make sure that we're keeping an eye on wild polio in the environment. And this really helps us determine where outbreaks might be taking place so that we can focus our work. And then we also can see, oh, well, now that outbreak has run its course, and we can maybe move on to a different neighborhood in those two endemic countries of Afghanistan and Pakistan. So really important work that we are continuing to do. And so then what can you do? You can make sure that we reach our fundraising goal every year. It's that $50 million goal, which means that we can fully leverage our Gates Foundation match. So we give $50 million every year, and then Gates matches that 2-to-1. So it becomes $150 million, which really is such an amazing, amazing match that they've committed to year after year. You can create or join a Polio Plus Society. I know that's a big passion of April's, and I think you all have a great district that's really kind of a great leader for Polio Plus Society. So thank you. I hope you all are considering that if you haven't already joined it. You can advocate for the polio eradication efforts that we do whenever you have a chance, and whenever you have kind of an audience to speak to about it. People don't realize how important it is to kind of share that message. And we aren't done with it yet, so we need to continue talking about it. And then last but certainly not least, to make sure that you're using those World Polio Day events to highlight our role in the progress towards eradication. And I bring that up especially because that is coming up next, oh gosh, this week. Where does the time go? It's this Friday, the 24th of October. So hopefully your club or somebody in your club has something planned for World Polio Day. I know that we have a special beer that's being brewed in Evanston at one of our breweries. It's the Purple Pinky beer. So that's really fun and exciting. I think it's really great to see the different ways that people do fun things to raise awareness about polio eradication and World Polio Day. And then this is the third fund I spoke about. It's the Rotary Foundation Endowment Fund. And we actually had a pretty amazing year, actually, a few years. And this year we were able to say that we raised 2.050 billion, actually, towards our 2.025 billion goal. So we exceeded our goal to kind of shore up our foundation's endowment. We exceeded our goal by $25 million. So really the main goal is to make sure that we have this lasting legacy so that we can really do our great work forever and ever. We had in 2011, the spendable earnings available each year have increased, or sorry, from 2011, our spendable earnings have increased from 5.7 million to $15.5 million in the endowment. And really, that's just a testament to the amazing work that you all have done to get the word out about the endowment and to support it. And really, the cool thing to me is your district gets back endowment share dollars. And I know that this year alone, your district got back $16,000 of spendable earnings from different endowments that have been made towards your district. So I think it's a really cool thing. If you're not talking about it in your clubs, I definitely encourage you to do so because it's just such a great way, as I'm going to say, quote unquote, normal people, to quote somebody I spoke with recently, that you might, be able to make a bequest or dedicate some dollars, possibly after you've passed, to shore up the future for Rotary. So maybe you don't have lots and lots of money at your disposal now, but you might in the future, and just think about how you might leave a lasting legacy and really leave an impact with your giving after you're gone. It's something I get really, really misty-eyed thinking about because I think it's such a powerful thing to do. So let's talk about what all of these dollars do. So your grants that your district does are funded by the Rotary Foundation and, of course, other fundraising that sometimes you all do as well. But I wanted to talk about the different grants that you all have done just last year. So just in the program year of 2024-2025. So let's start with the district grants. These are, like I talked about with the district designated funds, these are those grants that are funded by that. So you had over $46,000 of dollars awarded for projects, and it was 23 district grant projects. And I just looked at kind of a sampling of some of the projects that took place. And I thought that they were really cool. I always get very, very inspired when I read these off. So you had a human trafficking educational event in partnership with a local organization, and that educated nurses and other professionals about the impact of human trafficking. And it also provided some backpacks to kids who had been impacted by that terrible event of human trafficking. I saw that one of your clubs improved a local senior center space with some new furniture and flooring and lighting. And part of that project was also cleaning out the old space to make way for these new improvements. I thought that was really lovely. There were so many projects to help those who are experiencing food insecurity. There was meal packing, there was installing new equipment like a freezer at a food pantry, things of that nature. And then I did also see a few park bench and playground equipment projects to make your park areas, your community areas more beautiful and more usable for your fellow community members. So all of that was funded by these district designated funds that come from annual fund share. So I just wanted to show you there are projects happening right now with your dollars that you all are doing. And I think that's just so, so lovely. So thank you for your hard work with those and for your dedication to making sure that your dollars are put to great use. And then I also wanted to talk about your approved global grants. There were 6 of them in 2024-25, and they included a clean water project in Guatemala. They included a computer and science lab materials. There was training for preschool through 10th grade teachers to improve some basic education and literacy. That was also in a community in India. And then I saw 3 separate scholarships as part of your global grants as well. And so, something I definitely want to note here is that 6 approved global grants is a really impressive number for a district. I usually, when I look at global grants for a district, see maybe 1 or 2 per year, sometimes not. So 6 approved global grants is actually something you should be incredibly proud of. And just to give you even more to be proud of, the spending on those grants was $336,000. So that was 43,000 of that was from the World Fund, and then the rest was made up by various other sources that, of course, we can talk about more with Eileen if you'd like. But I mean, it really is a lot of impact that you all are doing through these 6 global grants. And I just really was pleased to see how involved in the global grant process your district is. It's really, really something you should be proud of. So thank you. So let's get to kind of a little bit more about what you can do as a club leader to encourage your members to be supportive of the Rotary Foundation. So first and foremost, you should definitely familiarize yourself with the reports that are available to you. You should use the data that is available in them to set your club goals in Club Central. Hopefully, you've done that already. And then be aware and oversee your club's current and past grant activities. You know, if you don't know what your district and what your club's doing as far as grants are concerned, then you should know so that you can either build upon that for next year or, just kind of make sure you're aware so you're doing great things year to year. So I also just want to mention that thanking donors is probably one of the most important things you can do. So make sure that, again, you're keeping an eye on those reports that we will talk about more about later. And then also, just make sure that you are are acclimated to those things, those reports, I will be talking about a little bit more in a bit. And always just make sure that you're celebrating and promoting what your club is doing with the money that's given by yourself, by the donors, as well as your fellow members. And just, make sure you're telling stories, inviting organizations to come speak at your club about how your club has made a positive change. So just some quick things to think about as a club leader and what you can do to encourage support of the Rotary Foundation. So let's talk about reports. I know sometimes people are like, oh goodness, reports, but they are so important. So let's talk about them. And then I should also mention that if you ever need extra help with reports, finding them, kind of deciphering them, your foundation team is fantastic. Eileen Rao is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to the foundation. She was actually our zone's regional Rotary Foundation coordinator, which is a really, really important position. And she's not in that position anymore, but she has all of that expertise. Prasad Menon is also an absolute expert when it comes to reports. And so he's here to help you too. And then I know Milt Rosenberg has been really doing a deep dive into Paul Harris Society things and has been looking at those reports as well. So I think all 3 of those people would be just so pleased to help you if you had any further questions. And then if they can't help you, they'll send you my way, and I'm happy to help as well. So once you sign into my Rotary, you'll see this screen. You'll have to scroll down a tiny bit, but you'll see this screen. And once you're there, you're going to click on Membership and Foundation Reports. And once you do that, you will see this screen. And so something I do want to make sure to mention is you always have access to your own personal giving. Nobody else has the same level of access to your personal giving that you do. And that's in this individual reports area under donor history report. So if you ever wanted to see, how much cumulatively you've given over the years, that is in this donor history report area. Another really important just kind of detail to know is even though this says mail your contribution here, and of course you can definitely mail in contributions with the forms that will pop up if you click there. Another really cool thing in this mail your contribution area is that you can access a multi-donor form for your club, and it will auto-populate all of the information for your club members in that report. And so that's just here. I didn't make an extra slide for that, but again, that's in mail your contribution. You can do one file for all of your club members. But mostly we're going to talk about club reports today. So we're going to talk about contribution and recognition reports, which are in this club giving area. So let's first talk about the club fundraising analysis. So in order to find that, you'll click on this little arrow and then click on the club fundraising analysis when it kind of, drops down. And once you're there, you'll see this beautiful report. It's the club fundraising analysis, and it has just so much information on it that could be helpful to you. It has an annual fund, total giving, and total giving columns, so you can see over the past 5 years how much your club has contributed both to annual fund and total contributions, which would include Polio Plus and other funds as well. Other funds are things like disaster response funds. You can see the goals that you've inputted or that, club presidents before you have inputted. You can see what your per capita is, of course, your total membership, and then some donor recognitions. So you can see who or how many people are every Rotarian every year or E-Ray participants. You can see who are sustaining members, so those who have given $100 or more, and then Paul Harris Society eligible. You can see the number of people who are Paul Harris Society eligible from your club. So again, a really helpful snapshot of just your club's overall fundraising and kind of recognition is what we call it for the different, E-Ray sustaining member and Paul Harris Society eligible numbers. So really helpful to know. The second report I wanted to talk about is the club recognition summary, which is just right here. And that looks like this. I will note that we have just kind of blocked out the personal information on here because, again, we're actually very, very conscientious about donor privacy. And so you should never share these reports outside of, yourself as the club. Let's say you're the club president or club foundation chair. You should keep that information pretty well guarded just because it is people's giving information. Although it's not so much information that it's like a high level of data privacy, but we just do want to be mindful that we're not just sharing things outside of proper business use. So the club recognition summary is a great way to track recognitions that are earned or soon to be earned possibly by your club members. This is important because you can see somebody's current Paul Harris Fellow level and what date they became it, and you can see how many recognition points they have and then how many they have available to give away. So something that's really important to think about here is you wouldn't use this to track donor total giving. And that's because recognition amount doesn't necessarily mean that person has that amount of dollars giving, because somebody could have been gifted some points. We can talk about that later if you'd like. Gifted Paul Harris Fellow points, and then that would increase their number here. And then similarly, in the foundation recognition points available column, somebody may have given away points. So they actually might have more cumulative giving than what these points would suggest. So again, this is, excuse me, just something to kind of monitor where people are at towards their Paul Harris Fellow. And then also you would see here if there was a 100% Paul Harris Fellow club, that would show up here. You can see all-time giving up in the right. And then this will also tell you if somebody is a Rotary Direct donor, so that's somebody who's giving through that recurring giving program, whether it's yearly, monthly, or quarterly. You would see whether they're enrolled here. And then there's just a snapshot of here of Bequest Society donors, major donors, etc. in your club. So again, This is one of those helpful things to just kind of keep an eye on where your club members are as far as their Paul Harris Fellow status is and how many points they might have to give away to hopefully help somebody else become that, or how many points they need to become that next level. And then the next report I'd like to talk about is the monthly contribution report. And this is more of a report so you can see where your club stacks up with other clubs in your district. So it'll show each club's annual fund goal, the percent of the goal they've achieved in their annual fund per capita. It also breaks down the contributions received in dollars towards annual fund endowment, and also Polio Plus now. That's actually a new column we just added. And then, yeah, you'll see that total here as well, and that's total for all of the funds. Something important to note is the number here of members is as of that's the July 1 number. And that kind of that'll also say it at the bottom just to remind you, but that's important to know here. And the other really cool thing is now we have this new tab, the MCR report detail, and that will break your club's giving down. Sorry, it's so small. I'm just trying to make it bigger. It'll say, oh, for the month in question that you've run this for, how many annual fund dollars has your club raised? And then total year to date will be there as well. So this is just a report that you can use to see where your club is. Maybe if you all are a little bit competitive, maybe in comparison to other clubs. But it's again just something to keep in mind, something to look at if you want to have that information at hand, and also to help you set some goals. Honestly, if you want to see kind of how close you are currently or in months past to meeting goals or exceeding goals, that's something you could look at for here as well. So just a few things about your foundation team and things to keep in mind. There are many ways to support the foundation and to build consistent support, but you're only one person, and we are Rotarians. You all are Rotarians, so there should be somebody to help you somewhere, whether it's building that club foundation committee. Hopefully, if you don't have a club foundation chair, you should definitely recruit one or work on recruiting one. That's somebody who can really be a great advocate for the foundation within your club. We talked about using data to set goals that make sense for your club. So make sure you're using all of those reports, all of those resources at hand. And then, like I mentioned, you've got great district leaders on this call who can help you figure out, how to navigate reports, how to maybe think of a fundraiser that might be helpful or might be successful in your club, because they've seen a lot and they have a lot of contacts within your district and outside of your district that can help them with that as well. And then make it easy for your club members to give. I mentioned that multi-donor form that's available. There's also Rotary Direct, which is that online recurring giving. They can just sign up by themselves and give monthly, quarterly, annually. It's really a set it and forget it kind of situation. And it's those goals for foundation engagement every year. And then finally, make sure you're inspiring them. You have a unique role that you can really kind of rally the forces, rally the troops, if you will, and make sure that you're encouraging them to share stories about impactful projects that they've been part of. Share those stories on the Service Project Center, which I have a slide about just in a little bit, which is a new tool. Make sure you're showing Rotary videos during your club meetings. There's some great ones on the Brand Center. I have a few thank you videos I'm always happy to share. And just make sure that you're, really getting excited about things like World Polio Day, about Foundation Month, which is just coming up in a few, weeks in November. And if you can, lead by example and make sure you're making your own contribution to the Rotary Foundation. And if you do, meet a new Paul Harris Fellow level, make sure you're celebrating that with your club and celebrating it for those in your club who also meet that. So that's just part of the inspiration moment of making sure everybody is being thanked and feeling inspired. So I've kind of talked about a few of these already, but just a few more tools to help you on your way. There's the Rotary Learning Center, which actually I haven't spoken about yet, and it's a really great tool that you have access to because you're a member of the Rotary or sorry, of Rotary. There's some great modules on there, but there is one on the foundation that I think is absolutely excellent. So if you want to learn more about the Rotary Foundation, that's on there. I know Eileen, I believe, sends out the weekly foundation minute, but that's something that's available. It's something you could read off in your club every week or send out to your members every week if you'd like. There's that Service Project Center. There's Rotary Direct, of course, for giving regularly, and then of course all of the reports that I've mentioned as well. And then again, yes, do that internet search for Rotary Annual Fund, and you'll see that page just pops up with so many resources. So quickly, let's talk about the Service Project Center. It was brand new last year. It's kind of a revamp of what used to be called Rotary Showcase, and it's, I think, even better than ever. You can go on there and you can search different kind of keywords and different filters. It's a great way to identify partners for global grant opportunities. It's a really great way to put on your own projects just to make sure you're celebrating them and people all over the Rotary world can see them as well. You can browse service projects that are already maybe happening in your district, see what other clubs are doing, assuming that they are putting them on there. And it's just cool to go on there and see what's happening around the Rotary world, just to be maybe inspired about service that's happening in other parts of the Rotary universe. I've already talked about a few of these, so I'll go pretty quickly through the ways to give. So if anybody in your club is ever curious, there are many, many different ways to give. Again, that recurring donation option of Rotary Direct. You can always give online at rotary.org/donate. There's a snail mail option. You can give through mail to that Rotary Foundation address, which is always available on our site, and also through that mail in your contribution option in My Rotary. I think a really cool option is to make a gift in honor or in remembrance of someone. And that again is an option when you go online to rotary.org/donate. If your company does a matching gift, that is something that we are always very happy to help you navigate. So inquire to your HR, does your company do matching gifts? You get some extra Paul Harris Fellow points from that too. And then we also have our own crowdsourcing fundraising platform called Raise for Rotary. And that's a really lovely way to raise funds if you're maybe celebrating a wedding or a graduation or a holiday or a birthday. And you say, oh, a lot of us have more things than we know what to do with. And so it's really lovely to tell your friends, you know what, instead of a gift, would you consider going online to Raise for Rotary? And you set up the campaign and you give them the website and they can support you that way. And then I'm going to, again, just go pretty quickly through resource that's available to you. It's brand new. It's a 4-page, really lovely document. It's called our Annual Fund Resource, and it's got up information on individual recognitions. It's got information on club recognitions, and then it just has lovely information about kind of all of the different ways that you can support Rotary. I've seen it on, it's kind of all broken out here, but I have seen it printed out and on tables at events, and it's just really, really lovely. And then I just want to end by saying that gifts of any size have a big impact. I know some people get a little bit discouraged when they think, I can't give thousands and thousands and millions of dollars, so maybe I just won't give, or, what's the point? Well, over 50% of gifts given to Rotary are at the $500 and below level. And really the power there is so many people coming together to contribute to make the world a better place. And just to show, I do have that hope for the future. And I do want to make sure that Rotary is the way that I kind of express that hope and make sure that I can and give to an organization and to Rotarians like myself to do great things around the world. So no matter what size your gift, no matter what your ability to support, it is helpful and it has a huge impact. So I always like to make sure to say that. And if you only have 5 minutes, which I know we all are very busy, there's just a few different things you can do. Just give a very specific example about how the Rotary Foundation is doing good in the world. What does that look like? Talk about a district grant that your club has done. Talk about a global grant that you've been in, that you've participated in. Just a very specific example of we brought clean water to a community in Guatemala, and they are thriving because of it and experiencing less waterborne illness and are surviving way more than they did otherwise. Maybe you have some photos from that project, share those. Highlight resources that are available to help to motivate giving. So make sure you do have those videos at your fingertips to share with others. The thank you videos, the videos that show the ways that people can make a big impact through the foundation. Encourage thoughtful gratitude. If you know somebody became a major donor in your club, or if you know somebody became a new Paul Harris Fellow, make sure that you're saying thank you to them. And whether that's, one-on-one because they're maybe less comfortable being thanked in person, or sorry, thanked in public, make sure that, that gratitude is thoughtful and personalized to them, but make sure you're expressing it. And then again, like I said, just one slide ago, make sure that everybody knows that every gift counts. The power of Rotary is in our numbers, and every dollar that each and every one of us give really has the opportunity to make some big waves in the world. So really, that's all I have. I know it was a lot. So now that I've said all of that, I would love to open it up for questions.
So if you have a question, please raise your hand. Thank you, Rebecca. That was a lot.
It was.
And yes, it was a lot, but it's all fantastic information. I apologize for not sharing my video. My Wi-Fi is being wonky, so I'm trying not to stress it.
Understood.
But yeah, I just wanted to emphasize again that every gift counts. We've just as a success story that everyone can hear. I just checked the report. We're up more than 10% in our Rotary Direct members as a district this year
Mhm.
already. And that
Amazing.
is, and I can tell you exactly what it is, that's polio donations of $10 a month. And so those are small, but those are mighty. So those are each, 3 to 4 kids per month being vaccinated completely against polio. So great job, everyone. Thank you. And so now that I've given you all a chance to gather your thoughts and wake back up from all that information that your brain is digesting. No, it's great information. It's a lot, but it's great information that we all really need to know as leaders of clubs and of the district. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so while I let you think a little bit more, Eileen, did you have anything to add to that as our Superstar Foundation chair?
Well, when Rebecca was doing her presentation, she showed some of the individual and club recognitions and awards. And if you want to know who our star clubs or individuals are, you'll hear about that at the foundation brunch. We really feel it's so important to thank clubs for their hard work, as well as individuals who open up their pockets or pocketbooks to help the Rotary Foundation. We're going to actually present 4 district grants and one of a special global grant, because obviously this is the reason we fundraise and ask you to support the Rotary Foundation. So, if you haven't signed up, please come. And I just want to thank you for being here and supporting the Rotary Foundation. It's kind of the heart of Rotary, or if you want to call it the engine that makes our projects go, everything we do to help people in our own communities and the world. And thank you, Rebecca. You always do a fantastic job. Thank you for coming on. And I certainly look forward to giving you a hug in a short while. And too
Yes.
bad Miss Elizabeth can't come.
Aw.
My cat does not travel.
Thank you.
Yeah. And just,
And also,
and Rebecca's an excellent example of the fact that RI is here for us. I can say Rebecca has been a friend and a great resource to me for the last few years. And so thank you again. And I think I heard somebody with a question.
No, I just wanted to say, this is Prasad. Just
Hey,
want to
my
say,
friend.
yeah, any of you at any time cannot get into a report or want to find out something about the report you're not aware of, we are here. Just email Eileen or myself. We are always available to help you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you so much, everyone. And I just wanted to say a special welcome to a new member of our crew, Gareth, from UMass. So hi, Gareth. So for everyone who doesn't know, Gareth is up at UMass and he's moving heaven and earth trying to get us a foothold up there. So thank you, Gareth, and thank you for joining us tonight. It's really great to see you.
For having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to see you on the call tonight. All right. Any other questions or comments, or you know what? Does anyone have any great foundation stories to share with the group? I know there's some out there. Mel.
So I just want to share part of the Paul Harris Society story, which is for those Rotarians who are able to support the Rotary mission to contribute $1,000 a year. And it's an easy way to understand how to become a major donor, because if you contribute $1,000 a year to the Rotary Foundation in 10 years, you are a major donor. And Rotary is very big on recognition, celebrating that kind of contribution, and helping supporting the Rotary Foundation. In our district, of our members, we are, I think, close to 1,500 members. We boast that we have 44 Paul Harris Society members. Those 44 Paul Harris Society members are contributing almost 30% of the funds to our foundation for the district. My goal this year coming, 2026, is to get 100 Paul Harris. It won't happen without your support at the club level to either support the idea of people who are out there and able and willing to control how important and what the Paul Harris Society is. Please just let me know who they are and I can contact them personally and help them better understand that. If they have and love Rotary the way many of you on this call do, it might be a good way for their future to become recognized as a major donor. Thank you.
Yeah, and to your point, Milt, that's another great resource for Rotary Direct. $100 a month, or well, a little bit less. I think it's 80 something dollars a month.
$150 a quarter. You
Yeah.
can do it. $500 a half a year, 1,000 once a year. It's everybody in Rotary knows how Rotary is not only to your community but to your world.
Yeah, absolutely. So another great reason to attend the foundation event is to get the spark of passion, to hear about the projects that are going on out there. They can really spark people's passion for the annual fund and for Polio Plus by being there. So another good reason to attend if you haven't already, and to encourage your club members to attend as well. Any other fun stories for the group before we wrap up for the night? I know we're getting close to the top of the hour, and you know how I like to respect your time. But we do have a few more minutes. Yeah, Eileen.
Yeah, just something about giving thanks, sending thank yous to your club members. I know Rebecca has mentioned that. And it's interesting because I twice a year, I'll send out thank yous for those individuals who have given to the Rotary Foundation, and I get thank yous back. People say, thank you so much. I appreciate it that you wrote to me, because, obviously it wasn't a kind of a canned letter or anything. It was just, it's a heartfelt thanks to those individuals. So it's really important. But that's funny. I get thank you letters from my thank you letters.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank
That's
you.
right. Yep. And celebrating when you get those Paul Harris pins in the mail. I know I've had the honor of being present for a couple of those already during my club visits, and those are always really exciting when you get to present the pin or see the pin presented. You can see the big smile on people's faces, and it's not just, and obviously it's not about getting the pin. It's about knowing that your contributions are making a difference. So thank you to all of you who are doing that, and keep up the hope, really. I always say that, but that's one big way we can do that around the world and in our community, since it does come back in the form of district grants, which I know many of you participate in. So it's a great one. All right. Who's got parting words for me? Or should I do my canned parting words now that you're all used to hearing now from my weekly videos now?
Well, we
You're
all
sick of
see
hearing me say
you
it.
on November 2nd at the foundation recognition dinner. If you haven't
Yes.
signed up, this is a good time to sign up.
Couldn't have said it better myself, my friend. Absolutely. Well, again, Rebecca, thank you. I know you do so much for us, and again, thank you for making the trip out here. We always love to have you, so looking forward to that.
Very much looking forward to it, and I'm
Yep,
always just so pleased to
she is
work with
going
you.
to make a trip out here on November 2nd.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
In person.
All right. Well, with that, I will let you guys have the rest of your evening back, and thank you for all you do, and we will see you in a few weeks. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, everyone.
Well,
Thank you so
everybody.
much. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.